Ubuntu, the most famous Debian-based distro, continues to be a major force in 2026, though its identity has evolved significantly. Ubuntu's strength lies in its ability to bridge the gap between enterprise, desktop users, and cloud-native development. Canonical has continued refining Ubuntu's long-term support releases, making them more polished, more secure, and more integrated with modern technologies like containerization, virtualization, and cloud orchestration. Ubuntu in 2026 feels confident and cohesive, especially on the desktop, where performance, hardware compatibility, and usability are better than ever. The GNOME desktop experience is smooth, visually refined, and optimized for both productivity and accessibility. Ubuntu's extensive ecosystem of tutorials, drivers, third-party software, and enterprise backend makes it one of the easiest Linux distros to adopt for newcomers while still offering depth for advanced users. However, Ubuntu also continues to spark debate within the Linux community due to Canonical's decisions around packaging formats, defaults, and centralized services. For some, these choices represent practical innovation. For others, they feel like compromises on traditional Linux values. In 2026, Ubuntu is best described as pragmatic and powerful, a distro that prioritizes real-world usability and industry adoption while still being rooted in Debian's stability. Linux Mint remains one of the most beloved Debian-based distros in 2026, especially among desktop users who value simplicity, familiarity, and comfort. Built on Ubuntu's long-term support base, Mint strips away many of the decisions that frustrate traditional desktop users and replaces them with a clean, user-focused experience. The Cinnamon desktop environment continues to mature, offering a classic layout that feels instantly familiar to users coming from Windows, while still being modern, responsive, and highly customizable. Mint's philosophy is not about chasing trends or reinventing workflows, but about refining what already works. In 2026, Linux Mint excels as a daily driver. It boots quickly, runs efficiently on both new and older hardware, and rarely surprises the user with unexpected changes. Software management is straightforward. Updates are carefully curated, and system tools are designed with clarity in mind. Mint also remains committed to giving users choice, allowing them to decide how and when to update, what software to install, and how their desktop should behave. For users who want a stable, elegant, and stress-free Linux experience without sacrificing power, Linux Mint continues to be one of the strongest Debian-based options available. Pop_OS, developed by System76, represents a more opinionated but highly refined take on the Debian and Ubuntu ecosystem. In 2026, Pop_OS is firmly positioned as a productivity-focused distribution aimed at developers, engineers, researchers, and creative professionals. While it is still technically based on Ubuntu, Pop_OS differentiates itself through deep customization, performance tuning, and a unique workflow philosophy. The Pop desktop experience emphasizes keyboard-driven navigation, efficient window management, and minimal distractions. System76's ongoing investment in hardware optimization means that Pop_OS performs exceptionally well on laptops and desktops, especially those with dedicated graphics cards. Power management, driver support, and firmware updates are handled seamlessly, reducing friction for users who rely on their systems for demanding workloads. In 2026, Pop_OS also reflects a broader vision of Linux as a serious alternative to proprietary operating systems in professional environments. It does not try to please everyone, but for users who align with its workflow and design philosophy, it offers one of the most polished Debian-based experiences available. MX Linux continues to stand out in 2026 as a distribution that prioritizes efficiency, stability, and broad hardware compatibility. Built on Debian stable with additional enhancements, MX Linux has earned a reputation for being fast, lightweight, and incredibly reliable. What makes MX Linux particularly impressive is its ability to run smoothly on older hardware without feeling outdated or limited. The default desktop environments, primarily XFCE and KDE Plasma, are carefully configured to balance performance and usability. MX Linux also provides a rich set of custom tools that simplify system management, software installation, and troubleshooting without hiding important details from the user. In 2026, MX Linux remains a favorite among users who want a no-nonsense system that respects their control while still offering convenience. It is equally at home on a modern laptop, an aging desktop, or a portable USB installation. For those who appreciate Debian's stability but want a more accessible and flexible out-of-the-box experience, MX Linux continues to be an outstanding choice. Kali Linux, while highly specialized, deserves mention as one of the most influential Debian-based distros in 2026. Designed primarily for cybersecurity professionals, penetration testers, and digital forensics experts, Kali Linux is not meant to be a general-purpose desktop for most users. However, its impact on the Linux ecosystem is undeniable. Kali is built on Debian testing, which allows it to include newer tools and libraries while still benefiting from Debian's structure and package management. In 2026, Kali Linux remains the go-to platform for security research, ethical hacking, and training. It ships with hundreds of pre-installed tools, each carefully maintained and documented. The system is highly customizable, allowing professionals to tailor their environment to specific tasks and workflows. While Kali is not recommended for beginners or casual use, its existence highlights the flexibility of Debian as a base capable of supporting even the most demanding and specialized use cases. Elementary OS continues to carve out its niche in 2026 as a design-focused, Debian-based distribution that emphasizes simplicity, consistency, and user experience. Built on Ubuntu's LTS foundation, Elementary OS offers a carefully curated desktop environment that prioritizes elegance and minimalism. The Pantheon desktop remains visually distinctive, with smooth animations, clean layouts, and a strong emphasis on usability. Elementary's developers focus heavily on their own ecosystem of applications, which follow strict design guidelines to ensure a cohesive experience. In 2026, Elementary OS appeals particularly to users who value aesthetics and want a Linux system that feels polished and intentional. While it may not offer the same level of customization as some other distros, it provides a refined experience that reduces cognitive load and encourages focus. Elementary OS demonstrates that open-source software can be beautiful, intuitive, and thoughtfully designed without sacrificing freedom. Zorin OS, another Ubuntu-based distribution, has grown steadily in popularity and maturity by 2026. Zorin's core mission is to make Linux accessible to users transitioning from Windows or Mac OS, and it achieves this through familiar layouts, visual themes, and thoughtful defaults. In 2026, Zorin OS offers a highly polished desktop that runs well on both modern and older systems. The ability to switch between different interface layouts allows users to ease into Linux without feeling lost. Zorin also places a strong emphasis on compatibility, making it easier to run Windows applications through compatibility layers when necessary. While some advanced users may find Zorin's approach a bit restrictive, it plays an important role in expanding Linux adoption by lowering the barrier to entry. As a Debian-based distro, it benefits from stability and long-term support, making it a dependable choice for everyday computing. Beyond individual distributions, what truly defines Debian-based Linux distros in 2026 is the shared foundation of values and technical excellence. Debian's package management system, with its emphasis on dependency resolution, security updates, and repository integrity, continues to be one of the most robust in the Linux world. The vast availability of software, combined with predictable release cycles, makes Debian-based systems ideal for long-term use. Whether you are running a personal laptop, a production server, or a fleet of machines in an organization, Debian-based distros offer a level of consistency that is hard to match. Stability in 2026 does not mean stagnation. Debian-based distros have learned how to balance reliability with access to newer technologies through backports, layered repositories, and containerized applications. Users can choose how conservative or cutting-edge they want their systems to be without abandoning the underlying stability. This flexibility is a key reason why Debian-based distros remain relevant even as technology evolves rapidly. Power, in the context of these distros, is not just about raw performance, but about empowerment. Debian-based systems give users control over their software, their updates, and their workflows. They do not force unwanted changes or hide critical system components behind opaque interfaces. For developers, this means a predictable environment where tools behave as expected. For system administrators, it means confidence that updates will not introduce unexpected regressions. For everyday users, it means a system that respects their choices and adapts to their needs. True open-source freedom remains at the heart of the Debian ecosystem in 2026. While Individual distros may make different decisions about defaults, packaging formats, or proprietary drivers. The underlying commitment to transparency and community-driven development persists. Users are free to inspect, modify, and redistribute the software they run. They are free to choose a distro that aligns with their values, whether that means maximum purity, practical convenience, or a balance of both. As 2026 unfolds, Debian-based Linux distros continue to prove that longevity, adaptability, and principle-driven development can coexist. They offer a spectrum of experiences, from the ultra-stable and minimal to the highly polished and user-friendly, all built on a foundation that values freedom and reliability. Whether you are a seasoned Linux veteran or someone exploring open source for the first time, Debian-based distros remain some of the most trustworthy, powerful, and genuinely free operating systems available today.